By the way, to see Trump give the State of Union, that's the last.
After President Trump completely destroyed Democrats at the State of the Union over their hypocrisy, President Joe Biden, former President Joe Biden, came out of retirement to criticize President Trump over the economy, over immigration, and trying to paint President Trump as a racist. But this did not go over well for Democrats or Joe Biden. Welcome to the Immigration Report. If you want daily immigration updates without bias, with evidence, please consider subscribing. Let us get into it, starting with this video of Joe Biden claiming that he left President Trump with the most secured border. Take a look.
The day I left office, border crossing into the United States were lower than the day that I entered that office inherited from Trump. He is, I won't say it. That's just a fact. On the day I left office, I handed Trump the strongest economy in the world. In the world. That's not hyperbole. That's a fact.
So that is former President Joe Biden in South Carolina a few days ago making the claim that he left President Trump with a more secure border. And we all know under President Joe Biden, the amount of illegal aliens that came in is between 10 to 20 million individuals. And we have an article titled here just to show you the numbers. It says illegal immigrants doubled under Joe Biden. And the article go on to say the number of illegal immigrants in the country has roughly doubled under President Joe Biden. The United States had some 10.2 million illegal immigrants in 2020. Another 10 million have entered during Biden's presidency. So as you can see, based on this article alone, at least 10 million people came in under Biden under the 4 years while he was in office. And we know that number could be higher. And here's President Trump at the State of the Union telling the American people how many illegal aliens came in under Biden. Take a look.
Over the past 4 years, 21 million people poured into the United States. Many of them were murderers, human traffickers, gang members, and other criminals from the streets of dangerous cities all throughout the world. Because of Joe Biden's insane and very dangerous open border policies, they are now strongly embedded in our country, but we are getting them out and getting them out fast.
So as you can see, this is a ridiculous claim by Biden. I don't know who wrote his speech. I don't know if you even remember what his presidency was like. But just to show you the scale of this thing, take a look at this video. A reminder of the scale of this immigration crisis that we had under Biden. Take a look.
New video shows chaos at the southern border. Over 10,000 migrants cramming themselves under a bridge in Del Rio, Texas. And officials say 10,000 more immigrants are on their way to join them. The massive makeshift shelter highlighting just how bad the problem is. Our own Bill Malusian showing earlier how migrants can easily cross a dam and make their way into Texas with no resistance. Now, keep in mind, the White House refuses to say that what we are all seeing is a crisis. They won't call it a crisis. Republicans are furious with the president and the fact that he's allowing this to happen. Watch.
So let me know in the comment section below, do you think former President Joe Biden left President Donald Trump with a more secure border than what we have today? And former President Joe Biden went on to criticize President Trump on his speech at the State of the Union. Take a look.
By the way, to see Trump give the State of Union, that's the last. Is he still talking? I don't know. But folks, it's unbelievable. The guy talks for almost 2 hours. But never mentions the anniversary of Putin invading Ukraine. Never once. I spent a lot of time in Ukraine. And I've met with Putin more than any other world leader has. The incredible bravery of those people. Imagine how they feel, wondering, are we leaving them? Are we walking away? He doesn't apologize.
So two things here. Former President Joe Biden trying to criticize President Trump for not mentioning Ukraine at the State of the Union. It's not a state of the world, it's a State of the Union, where President Donald Trump tell the American people what's going on within the country. So it doesn't make sense why the president should be sitting up there rambling on about Russia and Ukraine. And we all know the president is essentially trying to end that war. So there's no critique there. The second thing, Joe Biden trying to criticize President Trump on his speech for speaking for 2 hours. when we know Joe Biden, he cannot speak for 30 minutes straight. And he could not even get that sentence out where he was just trying to criticize the president. And here's a reminder of Joe Biden, how he was in office when it came to essentially speaking to the American people. Take a look at this reminder.
It's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help.
This is an embarrassment. If I was Joe Biden, I would not be standing up there trying to criticize someone for giving a speech. Because we all know Joe Biden is not the best speaker. I'm not the best speaker either. But trying to compare Joe Biden and President Trump is like apples and oranges. And here's Joe Biden, again, criticizing the president, saying the president wants to prevent people from voting. Take a look.
And the way to show the power is vote. Show up and vote. And folks, when we do that, that's bad news for Donald Trump, and he knows it. That's why he's trying to pull out more and more barriers, put them up. He's trying to steal the election because he knows if he can't win your vote, so he's going to do everything he can to prevent you from wanting to vote. Oh, mark my words. I hope I'm wrong. But watch. We can't let this happen.
So here, Joe Biden, former President Joe Biden, he claimed that President Trump is putting up barriers, essentially trying to prevent people from voting. But the barrier that he's talking about is basically the Republicans in Congress and President Trump. They want people who are voting to prove that they're a citizen. And over the past couple of months, we've been hearing talking points from the Democrats saying this move by President Trump and the Republicans is racist. That is Jim Crow 2.0. That he's trying to prevent black people from voting. That he's trying to prevent women from voting because they can't get IDs. Somehow they can't prove that they're a citizen. So Joe Biden, former President Joe Biden, he's literally echoing those talking points. And we all know that a majority of Americans, they actually want voter ID. Everyone supports this, including people of color, including black folks. And here we have an exchange on Fox News just to prove that point. Take a look.
An act like the SAVE Act is very likely more aimed at voter suppression and at keeping key demographics that the Republican Party does not want voting to not show out and vote. I think very often minority demographics.
That's not true.
So this is the thing where the suggestion is it's going to keep the black vote down. I've got two black panelists here. Ajwa?
That's not true.
Do you have ID and proof of citizenship?
Yeah, and if I need a copy of my birth certificate, it's just a matter of going online or going up to the department and asking for it and showing my information to get it. I mean, to say that it would negatively affect a minority group because they're somehow not educated enough to get these documents is completely outrageous.
Annie?
Yeah, that is completely outrageous by the Democrats at this point, including Joe Biden. Because if I was him, if I was Joe Biden, what I'd do, I'd just go sit down and retire. I know he's sick. I think he was diagnosed with cancer. I would just sit down, focus on, my health, and just salvage whatever reputation I have left. Just leave this politics thing alone. Because this old talking point of saying Donald Trump is a racist is just not working anymore. Because look at the number of black votes he got in the last election. Look at the number of Hispanic votes he got the last election. Minority votes in general. And just to prove you that point, we have a video here to show you how black folks feel about President Trump. Take a look.
We heard President Trump do something that you've never seen people on the left do. He thanked the black Americans and the Hispanic and the Asian voters who came out and showed up for him. And as a result, he's delivering results that we can measurably see, not taking our vote for granted, but acknowledging this demographic. They are a part of America just as much as the rest of us. I think The biggest myth is that we're the sellouts, but we're actually the ones that function in our freedom. We're unafraid. Wow. It takes an incredible amount of courage and bravery to go against your family, to go against what everyone in your community is saying. Those people right there are the problem. And you're like, no, I don't believe that. And just to piggyback off what he said, I don't mind. I dare you to judge me by the color of my skin. There's nothing wrong.
And there you go. That is the reason why Democrats are losing so much support from minority groups. And that brings us to the end of today's immigration report. Please let me know in the comment section what you think. Also, please consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you for watching all the way to the end.